Right now, as you're watching this video, there are satellites flying 300 miles above your head. They're not sending you internet. They're not checking the weather. They're watching, tracking, recording. And most people have never heard of them. They're called Starshield. And they are arguably the most powerful spy satellite network ever built. The same company that builds rockets for NASA and sends astronauts to space is quietly running a secret program for the US military that can watch entire cities in real time. This is the story of how SpaceX went from launching satellites for your internet to launching eyes in the sky for America's intelligence agencies. Most people know SpaceX for two things: Starlink, the internet satellite service with over 7,000 satellites in orbit, and Falcon 9, the rocket that lands itself back on a pad like something out of a movie. But in December 2022, SpaceX quietly announced a separate, much more secretive project, Starshield. Think of Starshield as Starlink's classified twin brother. Where Starlink is designed for everyday people to get internet access, Starshield is designed exclusively for the US government and military. It uses the same basic satellite technology, but with major upgrades, enhanced encryption, hardened security, and specialized sensors that Starlink satellites simply don't have. The satellites are bigger and heavier than Starlink units, with extra solar panels to power advanced systems on board. Some are nearly twice the size of a standard Starlink satellite, and unlike Starlink, which SpaceX owns and operates as a service, Starshield satellites are owned and controlled directly by the US government. Here's where it gets really interesting. In 2021, SpaceX signed a classified contract worth $1.8 billion with an agency called the National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO. Most people have never heard of the NRO, and that's by design. It's so secretive that the US government didn't even admit it existed until 1992. Today, it's America's main spy satellite agency, the organization responsible for building and operating the country's eyes in space. Under this contract, SpaceX is building hundreds of spy satellites for the NRO, satellites capable of imaging the Earth's surface with high resolution, tracking moving targets on the ground, and transmitting that data almost instantly. Reuters broke this story in March 2024, and it sent shockwaves through the defense and intelligence world. On top of that, the US Space Force has separately awarded SpaceX over $660 million in communications contracts for Starshield, and the Department of Defense is now planning a 480 satellite constellation called Milnet, also built on Starshield technology. By January 2025, at least 118 Starshield satellites were already in orbit. By April 2025, that number had grown to over 183 satellites across more than 13 missions, all launched on SpaceX's Falcon 9 rockets. So how does this system actually work? Let's break it down simply. Step 1, the rockets. SpaceX launches Starshield satellites using the Falcon 9 rocket. What makes this remarkable is cost and speed. Traditional spy satellites used to take up to a decade to build and launch. SpaceX can now produce and launch dozens of satellites in months, at a fraction of the old cost. Step 2, the swarm. Unlike the old days when the US relied on one or two massive, expensive spy satellites, Starshield works as a swarm. Hundreds of smaller satellites work together, passing data between them using laser links, beams of light that shoot data between satellites at incredible speeds. This means no single point of failure. If one goes down, others cover for it. Step 3, the orbits. Starshield satellites fly in low Earth orbit, between about 190 to 600 miles above the surface. That's close enough to capture detailed images and track targets with much less delay than satellites positioned further out in space. Step 4, the data. The satellites carry imaging sensors, developed with the help of defense contractor Northrop Grumman, capable of capturing high-resolution photos and video of the Earth's surface. Analysts believe they may also carry infrared and radar sensors, allowing them to see through clouds and even at night. Step 5, always on. Because there are so many satellites, and they orbit so frequently, the system can achieve what intelligence agencies call persistent surveillance, meaning a target area can be watched almost constantly with very short gaps between passes. The NRO's director described the constellation as the world's most capable, resilient, and technologically advanced satellite constellation, already shortening how long it takes to get fresh intelligence from space. The implications of this program are enormous, and they go far beyond just the military. For the first time in history, a private company is operating the core backbone of a nation's spy satellite infrastructure. SpaceX is not just a launch provider anymore. It's now deeply embedded in America's national security apparatus. The Pentagon is even considering replacing 140 planned government satellites with Starshield technology, because it's simply faster and cheaper. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is paying close attention. Russia has publicly stated that commercial satellites used for military purposes could be treated as legitimate targets in wartime. China is racing to build its own satellite mega constellations in response, and in 2025, when Starshield satellites were detected transmitting on unusual radio frequencies, it was an amateur astronomer in Canada who first noticed, not any official body. That's how secretive this program is. We are living through a moment where space is becoming a battlefield, not in the science fiction sense, but in a very real, very quiet way. Starshield is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. The US Space Force was officially created in 2019. Concepts like Golden Dome, a space-based missile defense shield, are being discussed at the highest levels of government, and analysts believe Starshield's surveillance network could one day feed directly into such systems. The race to control low Earth orbit isn't just about internet access or space tourism anymore. It's about who controls the eyes above, and right now, SpaceX and the US government are moving faster than anyone else. Outrow Starshield isn't science fiction. It's not a concept. It's already up there, right now, circling the Earth every 90 minutes. The question is no longer whether we'll have a spy satellite network watching the planet. That already exists. The question now is, but where does it go from here? If you found this video interesting, make sure to like and subscribe, because the story of space, technology, and power is only getting bigger.